Where'd she get to this?
I know when you're ready.
All right, I'll just, we got another minute.
Okay. Is that too low? Switch it. Somebody lowers them all the time.
It's too bad.
What you got?
You know? There's a thing underneath it. That one's a little taller. Somebody can lower on that one.
I'm just talking.
It's just too fat.
All right, can we please stand up for the pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you for coming. Just want to inform you that Mayor Hines and Tom Murray will not be here today for personal reasons, but we still have a quorum here. All right, so I also got to announce that Tom has to leave at about 8:15. Once he leaves at 8:15, we have to shut down the meeting. Okay, so we have up to 8:15. You gotta give me a heads up, okay, guys? All right, new business.
Yep.
New business. Tom, you want to take that first one, resolution, surplus?
Sure, we have a resolution for surplusing 2 vehicles, so with that, the resolution adopted to declare surplus the following DPW vehicles and sell them on auction on international website. That one would be a 1998 Chevrolet pickup truck, VIN 1GCGK24F 8WZ191142. And the other vehicle is a 1993 International dump truck, VIN is 1HTG EAYR1PH469993. I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
2-0. Second new business. Tom, you have the second one, the employment.
Sure.
Give Joe a shot. Sorry,
Joe Kitchen.
Resolution employment of Department of Public Works, summer help. DPW received how many applications? 10 applications, and Mr. Martino interviewed all 10, came down to 2, which we'd like to pass tonight, to hire them. We don't have to name names, do we? Or do
Yeah,
we
we have
do?
a motion in front of you. You should read that motion this week.
Underneath that. That's it.
Yeah, okay. Authorize the employment of Chester Hayes and Matthew Casenda as summer help for the Department of Public Works, DPW, at an hourly rate of $10 per hour. Make a motion?
Second, just a question. Start date?
I'm open Monday.
Okay.
End date?
Depending on what the money runs out, if there's no rain dates, then, we use up the budget.
Okay, so the start date would be the 27th.
That month, yeah.
Okay, so I'll just like that included in the resolution.
And no end date, so hopefully we enjoy summer. No, I don't know if we, do we want to enjoy summer?
No.
You don't want to enjoy summer.
Okay.
Everybody in favor? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we have a presentation. Come on up. It's water meter company information regarding water meter technology. We have Mr. Farr here.
Yes. Good evening, board. My name is Jim Farr from Farr Engineering, for those that don't know me. As the board's aware, I've been working with the board, taking a look at the difference in water production from our wells versus the water that we're billing to our consumers out there. And there's a relatively large discrepancy that has gotten bigger over the last several years. One of the reasons why that could be is under-registering of our water meters. And as a committee, we've met a couple times and talked about different things to look at, and one of them is water meters. And we thought it was best to have a water meter expert come in and just give an overview of his experience of similar situations. And Tom Sprague is here to provide the board with some information and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, board, for having me. Like Jim said, my name is Tom Sprague. I work at Schmitz Wholesale. I've been there for, what's today? 21. 7 more days. I'll be there 40 years. So it's, I've been there a while. I've called on the village for probably 30-some years in the business. And this is actually my second time here in doing a board presentation. The other one was at the old Village Hall. Anyhow, Jim and I and some of the board members have met before, but I kind of put an outlay into the beginning of it to kind of follow along through. Why do we use water meters? I mean, that's probably number one question that some people are going to have, and the reason you have water meters is the fairest way to bill your customers for water. Why replace water meters? Because you know they're always working, you're always bringing in revenue, but what happens is water meters slow down, and the more they're in use, the more they slow down. What does it affect? It affects all the customers. Well, they're paying 100%, or some probably is getting a discount to 40 to 50% off their water bill. So the ones that get 40 or 50% off, they're good with their water bill. They probably are one of your better users onto it because they're getting it at a discounted rate. The village naturally is losing revenue because of the meters being inaccurate. There's a, you know, at the bottom, you know, I was shocked when I started seeing the numbers that you folks are losing here. So, what can you do? You can leave things alone, and when the time comes you need money, you just raise the rates again. So, but that's kind of a patch fix to it. Really, the correct way to do it is making sure you're billing at a fair rate for everybody. So if you change all the meters, everybody pays their fair share, the revenue rates increase, and the money necessary to do preventive maintenance down the road will be there for you, instead of always trying to figure out at budget time how you're going to get a new well pump or whatever you got to do. This you should start seeing after a few years. You should start seeing some money come back to help offset those preventive maintenance costs. Like I said, one of the things that shocked me onto it was what you're producing. The records that I've seen that you're producing 173 million gallons a year. You're only billing 96 million, and there's 77 million gallons not being accounted for. That's over 200,000 gallons a day. That's a lot of water. Typically, you don't see that in most municipalities. Everybody shoots for about a 10% unaccountable water, but what you're looking at here, 46%, I guess, very close to 45%. That's a pretty substantial number to be losing, regardless of whether you're getting paid back at what we call the wholesale rate or the retail rate. Wholesale rate is what it costs you to produce it. Now you got to put your markup onto it to get it back. So whatever goes through the meter, you're losing at the retail rate. Whatever you're losing into the ground or wherever else the water goes, fire systems and things like that, that's even at the wholesale rate. There's still a substantial amount of money that is being lost into your system. So down at the bottom, I just did some calculations using what I found out were your rates onto it. And as you can see, the potential loss for the water is $296. Potential loss for the sewer is $404,000 for a grand total of $700,000 per year. So they are substantial amounts of money onto it. So with that, one of the things is, well, what do we do? And one of the things that you can do is actually put new meters in, and that's what I'm really here tonight to kind of go over some of the options you have in meters. right now, I'm guessing that you go around with a touchpad and read the meters.
Touch reader or something with doctors.
Yeah, so it's a manually go upside the house, touch a little button on there, downloads, and so on. What we have, we also have that. That particular system was designed back in the 80s. The life expectancy is very close to being run out on that particular system. Radio then came after that. I've sold a bunch of radios here in Orange, Ulster County, Sullivan County. Still working great. 2 years ago, Badger came out with a new system. It was a cellular device system. So instead of you going to the house to read your meters once a month, once a quarter, however, with a laptop driving by, now every night these readings come back into actually into the cloud, and then you access them through any type of device, whether it be a tablet, a laptop, or even an iPhone. So whoever has permission to get into that, all they need is a web browser to get there. So you're not limited, like some softwares are limited as to how many seats are available. This is unlimited. You can have as many seats as you want onto it. So that's kind of a nice feature. So going through it, I put down there what's a leak. What you guys are probably doing now is reading by the thousands. So if we were to do that with this system, it would wait till it got 1,000 gallons, so it would send you, say, all right, 1,000 gallons. So you could go 2 or 3, 4 days without ever getting any register. We're now down to 100th of a gallon. So we're seeing really high resolution, so we can detect the finest leak into it. And like I said, the new technology is cellular technology. We're into the cloud, we're cloud-based, so we're not worried about if we send you a zip drive and say update your software, we don't have to worry about you doing it. It's being done for you in the cloud automatically. So that is another headache sometimes that we run into any type of automation system. Comes with a customized what we call a dashboard. Everybody that has access to the system, they can change their dashboard into what is important to them. This actually was developed out into the West Coast, into California, because of their droughts and so on. They really need, the homeowners need access to their information so they can tell how much water they're being used, because their bills keep going up the more they use, so they really are conscious about it.
A question?
Sure.
So if there was a serious drought or something going on and you limited each household to 500 gallons a day, just throwing an example, can you set alarms and alerts into the system that would identify houses that would exceed that threshold?
Yes, you could. Yeah. 500 is kind of small, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, just as an example.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and the homeowner can do the same thing.
Right.
They can set their own alarms on it once you gain access to it. And
Just
that
to follow up,
again,
I'm sorry,
That's
but
okay.
that's a great question. So does that mean every resident would be able to have a portal into it to
Yes.
be able to look at their water usage?
yes, and get their own alarms. If they had a leak in the house, instead of waiting 3 months and getting a high water bill, they would get either a text or an email or both that there's a leak in the house, and they can then have it taken care of.
Good. That's good. Thank you.
It can be done 3 different ways, like I said, on a computer, on a tablet, or on a smartphone, and it all comes. Commercial accounts, they can also use this because they can also set their alarms differently. They can say, I got a 6-unit apartment complex, I'm okay with 500 gallons a day, but I want to know if I hit 6 because I got something going on. So they can set it at 600 gallons, and they can get the alarm also to them. Somebody goes to Florida, they got somebody watching the house, they can say, all right, if they go in and flush the toilet, I'm okay with that, so they could set it for 5 gallons. As soon as it went over 5 gallons, they'd be notified that it went over 5 gallons, and then they could get a plumber or whatever to get it taken care of, or call home and tell the kids stop having the parties at the house. So anyhow, when you read through a typical radio system where you drive by, you typically read it every quarter. I have a lot of accounts that do it because it's easy enough. They do it every month. And the reason they do that is when there's a leak, they can then put a door hanger on the door that, hey, we went by your house today and it looks like you've got a potential leak. With this here, we're not just getting 1 read a month per meter. We're actually getting 720 reads per month per meter. So that is so much information. That's the reason why, you know, if you were to handle that here, it'd be a whole separate server that you'd have to have. You'd have to have an IT person involved into it. That's the other reason why cloud-based makes a lot of sense. Being backed up all the time, we use Amazon's cloud, and there's multiple servers there all getting backed up, so not to worry about losing any of your information. The other thing, and like this last week, we can overlay. If somebody calls in and says, you know, I couldn't use that much water, could you kind of take a look at it? We can go back through and look at the precipitation for that day, week, month, and also the average temperature or the high temperature of that day. So we can kind of overlay those on our graph. So you can all of a sudden see, wait a minute, it's been 90 degrees all week, no rain. You probably had your lawn sprinkler going at that time. So there's other ways that, you know, we can kind of put an eye on the water and see where it's going. A couple of you were here when I gave this last time. This one is kind of a neat graph that I printed out on an existing account. What happened was the water department saw that they were going through an awful lot of water all of a sudden. So they went to the house, they started looking at it. They couldn't find any leaks inside the house, but they heard a lot of water. So they went ahead and started investigating. They found that there was two 75-foot lengths of garden hose out the back of the house. It was 150 feet away from the house. This water's going full blast. He did what I would have done. I'd have blamed the kids too, but who knows how it happened. But here'd be a typical way of the kids went out there maybe a couple days later, shut it off. Meantime, the water's all gone. The homeowner really didn't know it because kids aren't going to fess up to it. So when you send out a high water bill, I couldn't have used it because they didn't know that it even happened. So there's a lot of things like that that actually happen with this that are very, very useful when it comes to disputing bills and trying to figure out what really did happen to it. There's a couple other examples. I won't go through those. They're pretty neat. But then at the end is the machine-to-machine. That's what we use. We're a machine-to-machine technology. We use the cell service. And machine-to-machine is a little bit different than voice. Voice, you need a lot of power to get from one cell phone to the next. Text, you need a little bit less. If you've ever been someplace and get a text but you didn't have service, that's because it doesn't require it as much. Machine-to-machine is a little bit down further than that. So we really don't have any issues getting this back to the cloud where it belongs onto it.
What vendor do you use?
They use Eris, which is a third party, and they're an aggregator, so they go out and they bought so many data points from Verizon. It's all CDMA, so it's Verizon, Sprint, US Cellular, and there's like 60 others that we don't use, AT&T right now, or T-Mobile. They will be available somewhere down the road. They're not available right now. Okay. And the main reason they're going to be available down the road is because CDMA technology was developed for the United States. AT&T, the GSM, was actually developed overseas and brought to this country. So in order for Badger to sell in some of the foreign countries, they got to have the AT&T chip in there. So that's coming at some point. It's just not available quite yet. So far, I haven't had any issues with Signal. We've been really successful. We've got one up in Hobart, New York. I don't know if you know where that is. It's in the middle of nowhere, just a little bit north of Delhi. And they don't even have a cell tower in town. And we happen to be sneaking it off to the next town over, a cell tower that Verizon actually has over there. And the last, next to the last one, I guess, is future-proof. And it shows there a band, and that's how Badger, when they got into the radio system, that's actually how they did it. As a band that had a big box in the back that was almost the size of a microwave, and you told it where you were, and it counted rotations on the tires. The GPS wasn't available back then. It counted rotations, and it had a compass in there, so it knew which way you were turning, and that's how it knew where it was. So that was in 1994. 2004, we had our drive-by Orion system, bubble up two-way, and then in 2014, they came out with the other. And the interesting thing, to put that in perspective in technology, 1994, this is what you would have carried around for a cell phone. This is the old bag phone, and this is what you would have carried around 20 years ago. And 10 years after that, it was the flip phone, and a lot of people still use the flip phone. The flip phone could do a lot more than this. We get this small, we put it in our pocket. You had you could get contacts on there. You had a calendar, so it did a few things. And today we're all using smartphones with unlimited capabilities. Where we are in 10 years, who really knows? But so that's the reason why this is basically a 10-year product. We're looking at a plug-and-play product. So at the end of the 10 years, you'll unplug this device, and whatever it's called then will be plugged back into place. And that's it. Any questions? I'm more than happy. Or if you want me to go into how the nuts and bolts work on this, I can do that also for you.
So on this meter, the technology inside of it, are there moving parts more or less? Or is it more
This one here
electronic?
does. I have one in the car. We have one that has no moving parts. It's an electronic type of meter, and yes, we do have that available. I haven't seen a lot of it sold in the Badger line, only because we have options. There are companies out there that don't have options. They force their customers into a non-moving part system, and some of them, they've had issues with it.
So what would be your pros and cons versus moving parts versus electronic aboard? I mean, if we're looking at what we're thinking about doing, to me, I'm just moving parts, and I think what we have today are moving parts, so eventually that wears down.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a circuit board, for all intents and purposes, that won't slow down.
Yep.
So to me, that'd be the more logical place to look, but
Okay.
I'm just more curious on your thoughts.
The big difference there is that's a warranty product. Our electronic meter is warranted for 20 years of accuracy. They'll guarantee it to be as accurate from day one to the year 20 years out. This warranty is a little bit different. This is a mechanical meter, like you say, it's got moving parts into it. This is 2.5 million gallons. So if you start doing math, it's probably got the same amount, but they couldn't do it as a 20-year onto, because the moving parts do wear out. So that's the reason why it's got a gallon onto it versus the other. They don't care how many gallons, because it doesn't have any moving parts. The other one comes two ways, comes stainless steel and comes plastic. Some of our competitors only make plastic. One of the issues you have with plastic is once you take this out and put a plastic device in, then you have to put a grounding strap around the back of the meter, because now you can actually change the grounding configuration inside a house with type of liabilities there. So.
One of the things we can do with that, Tom, too, is if we ever get to the point of bidding this out, bid out these alternatives and see what the costs are going to be.
I was just going to say that.
Between those two.
Yeah, between the moving part, the virtual,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Plastic versus stainless.
Yeah, exactly.
And just, look at each one of those.
Yep.
That's good for how many gallons?
2.5 million.
So assume the average house,
That-
average house is
The remote reading functionality works with any of those meters that you've described?
Yes, well, there's three parts here. We have the bare meter, we have the encoder on top, and then we do have the device. This is the cellular device that sends it out. But as far as reading it with a laptop or anything, no, because it's a cellular device. It keeps its data backed up 90 days. I don't think you'll ever see a cell tower be down 90 days. Back when Hurricane Sandy hit the island, they lost all their cell towers down there, and they were up within 7 days. So that's one of the first things that come back in the state of emergency are cell towers.
So the back office, it's the 31st of the quarter and we want to run billing. So can we set the time of day that these things do their last reading?
What you would do is, well, yeah, because these, every night they're getting in, but some of them might not be until 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you did the billing at 8, they might miss.
Right.
So what you do is you probably wait the day after, but if you bill quarterly, you could go in there on April the 2nd or 3rd and say, all right, I want to do the water billing, and I want to do all the meters, if that's how you're going to bill them, you do them all. Then you'd select and say, what's your start date? You'd say January 1st. When's your ending date? March 31st. And it would be from midnight to midnight, basically onto it that you would do billing. You couldn't get any more accurate than that.
And is there anything in the system that would say 200 meters were not read?
Oh, yeah, there's alarms in there that what's not being read.
So
Yep.
if we're like from an attendance type of sheet, we can look at something and it would say 100% red,
Yes.
and we're good to go, and
Yes.
we're not worried about what happens today.
In
If
our-
someone has to do a manual read,
Yeah.
or you're not home, or the meter's broken, or what's going on, well, that would.
In the
obviously not be
dashboard,
put into play anymore.
yeah, in the dashboard, it tells you the health of the system,
Okay.
which will tell you how many meters are status okay and how many are reporting issues. And I've got one here now, it's got 8 reporting issues, and some of them been tampered, so either somebody's unplugged it, think they're gonna get away with filling the pool, or they cut the wire, or what have you. So, yeah, it will tell you which meters are not reporting and why, almost why they're not reporting.
We could break the village up into as many
You can break-
sections as we
Yep,
want to.
yep.
So there's always a cash flow.
Yeah, if you wanted to break it up in the different parts where you were bringing in monthly payments, that could happen, yes. Yep. You just have to tell it that when you start putting that information in, to be book 1, book 2, or however you want to describe that. And then when you got ready to bill, you say, I want to bill book 1, 3, and 5, and it would pull those meters down for those books. But that's how you put them in there. The other part for the water department side is this will also give them alarms. So if you have any high users that are good revenue people, you'll want to put in there that if their meter happens to get 20% less than what it normally does, you want to know about it. You want to keep that revenue stream coming in. So you can do it for any meter over 2 inch. You can say any meter 2 inch above. I want to know when that gets 20% less. And they'll get an email and they'll alert onto it.
So it goes both ways, if it's not running quick enough, something's happened there.
Yep.
And for a resident, if it's running over,
Yep.
we can alert them to, and they also have a portal.
They have
to
a
be
portal.
proactive if
Yep.
they have the time to be checking that as well as everything else we do today. But, yeah, okay. Yes, sir.
What if the person who lives in the residence is only there maybe 3 days, maybe doesn't use it? For example, like me, I'm a widower. I'm there 3 days, I don't use much water. Are you saying that that alarm will go off?
If you have a leak in the house, in other words, if you left and the toilet's running, because
Well,
that's normally the object that
Well, I'm
happens.
using less.
Yeah,
I'm using,
That-
not using
yeah.
anywhere near.
Yep.
Okay, and I got another question if I may ask.
Sure.
How did you determine the difference in that it's not perhaps a pipe outside the home that may be leaking? Did you do a survey?
Yeah,
Did you done the
somebody's-
whole thing through the village?
Yeah, you have to do a survey of the house. Somebody would have to go to
No,
the house.
no, that, the usage,
Oh,
because
I get
it's
what you're
astronomical.
What we do is we have a master water meter. We have one well site, we have a master water meter there that we
Right.
read every day. It continuously records. We also do billings on a quarterly basis. So the DPW goes out and reads all the meter readings every quarter.
Right.
And then we have a total, we have what we produce at the well house based on the meter there. And we total up all of the individual meters every quarter. And then when you take a look at that discrepancy, it's about 200,000 gallons a day. Our production from the well field has been consistent.
No, I understand
About
that,
40 years.
but I'm trying to determine, that's an astronomical number.
Yes, it is.
Okay, now I've been here over 30 years, okay, and I rarely see anybody watering lawns. Occasionally, okay. What I'm saying is, did you check the streets, the pipe?
There's been leak detection surveys. What was the last leak detection survey, Chris? About 2 years ago.
Okay.
And typically leaks will surface someplace.
Right.
We'll either see them on the street because it'll bubble through the street, or we'll, see them in a manhole or a catch basin. A lot of times we catch them during the winter time especially, because you'll see what looks like steam coming out because the water's warmer. We don't have those instances. Our production is relatively steady. Obviously, it goes up a little bit more in the summertime, down a little bit more in the wintertime. But it's been steady for a long time. It's our usage that's been going down, because with anything else, even human bodies, they slow down as they get older.
Okay, I'm trying to, because I'm in Stonebridge, and we had our meter changed some time ago, and I thought that was the entire village. right?
No, they're changed as needed, if they break or if there's an
I have a
abnormality with the
digital
meter.
I have a digital meter, and I remember the village wanting, the people with Stonebridge to put them in, eventually we wound up putting them in. Okay, so I'm trying to get a picture of that much water being lost, okay?
It's being unaccounted for, it's not being
It's
lost.
yeah, it's unaccounted for, and so I just can't fathom that the people in this village are using that much water unless they're running.
No,
It's
the
not
water,
that they're using the water.
the water that's being produced is about an industry average. It's about 75 gallons per person. That's about what we're producing. It's actually a little bit less than that. It's about 60 gallons that we're actually doing. But what we're actually billing for is substantially less than that.
Okay. The other thing is, who picks up the cost of this? The homeowner?
That's up to the village, it's not part of my presentation.
Well, yeah, the village would go out, either bond the money, or if we had the money to put towards it, or if there was a grant out there, but we've investigated grants, and that's far few between. So yeah, we would have to borrow the money, but the way Jim is describing this is that this system would pay itself back once all the new meters were installed, and this would be more or less a turnkey system. So this company, if we went with Badger, and depending on the water meter we selected, right, would then be installed by a third party or one of their vendors. So that wouldn't affect the village because we don't have the manpower to, number one, to go around and change 1,800, water meters. So it would be a planned event and work on our way around the village that eventually everything would be changed over. And then once that's done, the revenue that Jim says we would be losing will now be gaining, and we could pay this system back, for example, and well, at that rate, probably, and depending on what the whole system costs, it was $600,000, potentially you'll pay it back in 3 years.
And at this time, no one is thought to send out anyone to check in the village the residents' meters to see if they're working properly.
We have,
You have?
yeah.
And what was
And there
the
was a
result?
study done,
We
a
did-
short, a small study.
Yeah, we
looked at-
did a study of about 18 meters, I think there were, Chris, I believe that was the number. They all came back within accuracy. That's a very small sampling, it's about 1% of our overall meters. But those 18 did come back within, but we do believe it's.
Well, that in
it's
itself
meters.
says a lot. You chose 18. That was going to be your
You
core.
justify.
That was going to be
Well,
your
except
core.
that it's being lost someplace. We know, we have a brand new master meter in there, okay? So we know our production number is correct. It was only installed last March, April last year, and that's been consistent. Every year we have to do 2 reports. One's called the annual water report, which is for the Department of Health. The other report is for the Department of Environmental Conservation. Both of those reports take a look at water production versus billed water out there. And over the last 10 years, that number has continually increased from about 25% discrepancy. Now we're almost at 50% discrepancy. There's no other place it's going to be. And to go out and pull a large sampling of meters, we're just guessing. We did that, and the ones that we happened to pull were within tolerance. But we know, based on from an industry-wide perspective,
18 out of how
How
many?
many residents?
1,800, 1%.
That's what they're saying.
No, you got a .0001%. That's not a sample.
I understand,
No, we
but,
get it.
but to go out and to do a justifiable sample, be that 20%, that's a lot to go out and do.
It's also a lot to invest $600,000,
Except-
$600,000 or whatever. it is
Except
to
that the
do that, so-
revenue that we're going to be getting in is $700,000 a year. Even if it's half of that, even if it's $350,000 a year.
You hope.
It's not a whole.
No,
No.
It's
that's
not a
very
whole.
custom. Whenever we've done these in many communities around the area. We did the town of Wallkill in 2005, and we thought the payback period was going to be about 4 years, and it ended up being 2.5 years. They got the system paid back, and that was a $1.5 million project. Village of Goshen, they just got done doing a 3-year implement where they did so many meters. They did it in-house and did it 3 years. And that system will be paid back very, very quickly too. Yeah, there's proof that these pay themselves back easily.
We please forgive me, but you know what? This is an invasion of privacy. You're monitoring. Why don't we just put cameras inside the house too for the police? In case it's, you know, every time. I'm not.
I don't think anybody here really cares.
Technology,
Yeah, I know.
you know, back in the 70s, in
Yeah.
the beginning. The
This is-
thing monitors everything, okay? Conversation, you can do anything. So if I'm a little leery about technology at this point, please forgive me. But you know what? I learned as an officer for 25 years in the city of New York. People are too quick to give up their rights. And once it's gone, you never get it back. Okay? I had to deal with Time Warner back 20 years ago, and the court said, whatever a person wants to do with their home is their business with their TVs. Okay? So I'm a little leery about your technology. I don't put that much faith in it. Put more faith in God than in technology.
You never had a high water bill then?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know what?
I was on the village board one time, and I gotta tell you, the people that used to come to us with $1,400, $1,500 water bills, they wouldn't have done anything to have this technology. I don't think there's anybody sitting here that really cares what anybody uses at any particular time until a problem arises.
Yeah.
Then we can drill back and see just how that might have happened, or you can prevent it by getting the alarms yourself. Especially when you're not at home that often. You could have a leaky toilet, whatever could happen. We had an instance one time in where I'm from that somebody was stealing water from the spigot next door. The guy went to Florida in the wintertime and they had a spigot stealing his water.
Yeah.
So, things like this can be prevented today. We couldn't prevent it back then.
And people tap into the pumps and fill their pools up, all these things.
Yep.
Okay? But that's why we have the police department, that's why we have
Yep.
your services. And what I'm saying is that perhaps the alternative is to canvass the village, ask the residents to check for leaks, ask the residents to participate.
If
That
we
we
were
do
losing-
have a problem, before you decide to invest in the technology, that, you know what?
Well,
I'm
a
quite
meter
sure.
in itself, jump in here, but a meter itself, lifespan is between 20 and 25 years. So you could almost say we're at that point in time anyway, that we need to be looking at something. Like we needed to look at the sewer plant because that's 20 to 25 years old. And technology changes and pumps change and everything else moves along. So if it wasn't because of the calculations that we're seeing on our water reports and what we end up reporting and the volumes and gallons that we're losing, then on top of that with the revenue, we're at that point anyway. Either we need to do something with the old meters, and the newer technology just happens to be either the standard moving meter, or now you have circuitry, or boards in these things. And again, they're out there for another 20 years. So who's ever around in the next 20 years is going to be having the same conversation regardless if whatever's going on. But I think what we're trying to do is understand, like all these other communities, is that there's a lot of dollars that are being lost, and if we could recoup those dollars, then we can certainly use those dollars for projects that we don't then maybe need to go out and borrow that money. If we're making an extra $700,000 a year for our water infrastructure and doing exactly what you say, do these tests, see if we have leak detection. We can use money that we have, we don't need to borrow it, and really manage it a lot safer and better. And for you to understand how many gallons you're using. You might be on the road 4 days, you travel or whatever, you could get an alert that your 50 gallons a day is going out of your house, and you could say, what's going on? You could send us down there, we walk around the house, see if there's anything broken. And then with a key, he can check out anything inside the house. So it's proactive too, because at least again, I think as Tom said, we can drill down at the time you make the phone call. Today's world, we've got to take that information, manually go back to the paperwork, try to figure out what quarter it was, ask these guys to go out. It's slow and very, very
One of the things too is, Tom, we're manually reading everything now. It takes DPW
2 weeks.
2 weeks, 5 guys, 4 times a year. It's almost a man year to read meters.
Right.
which is probably $60,000-$70,000.
But I think a better selling point for what you guys want, you know, how you want to sell this is a bigger sampling of 1%.
Yeah.
Of,
I agree.
of the testing or whatever you guys are, you know, doing. I mean, 1%, that's, you know, to sell a product like this, you know, you need to do a little, I think, a little more testing than just a 1% sample.
Tom, like for Goshen and Wallkill, did they do any,
Wallkill did 100 meters, and that was out of 4,800, I think, at the time. They did 100 of them, and that actually showed a payback. It was going to be in a year and a half, but we just knew that that wasn't going to be that accurate. So we went out and said there's going to be a 3.5-year payback onto it, which is still a pretty good return on investment onto it. But no, Goshen didn't. They just knew that they had the same thing. When you produce so much water and sell so much water, and that number is huge like that, they know that most of it is in the inaccuracies of the meters.
yeah.
And no one's denying that, but again, a better selling point is, you know, a little more than 1%.
Yeah, I mean, we could go around and remove 100 meters, but you know, to take that, go test them, I don't know. For me, I think if you were losing 200,000 gallons a day somewhere in this village, it'd be a sinkhole, more than likely, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we'd be producing more water. That's what we know the difference is. Our production has been flat for 15 years.
Right.
It varies between 475 and 525 at most, almost every day of the year. Today it's 600,000 because it's beautiful and the school's out.
Right.
But, you know, it's been that way, but the other side of it continues to go down. So we know where it is. If we had a leak, our production would be way up.
I got confidence in you guys, you do a great job. You know, I've been here 30 years. But, you know, something tells me that you gotta take a bigger sample. And it's gotta be diverse. You know, in order to be able to justify $600,000. Eventually, this carries over to the residents of Washington. You know, this is not my field, okay? My field is social science, okay? People who've lost their pensions, people unemployed, people getting paid $10 an hour, whether we're making $30, $35. I took a canvass last week of my neighbors, okay? Most of them who built homes here are gone because they can't afford to be here. Okay, they can't. And they were gone. For whatever reason. Some lost their homes, their pensions, whatever. I am for the village generating revenue to sustain itself. But before you go forward, gentlemen, take a good canvas.
Well, I think right now it's only in the infant stage of
Okay.
everything.
Well-
Okay, we're not making any, I'm not making any decisions tonight. Okay?
No,
But I
it's just
do think that
presentation.
we need to get a broader read on meters, okay? But at what point does it make sense to do this? What do it? So if we have 1,800 meters,
You're
In the
losing $1,900 a day.
but let's say we didn't do the whole village, okay? Just the meters that were old, that need to be replaced anyway. Is that the way to go?
I don't know where that break point is, Joe, in terms of, I don't know if we have a good idea on what meters are old, what meters have been replaced, and Chris, do we have?
Right, so you gotta just take all the meters that have been replaced and discard them because they're
Well,
pretty good.
we're going to a new technology, so we still have to plug in something to this. You know, if we go out and do the 1,800, we know what we're going to get back. If we do it incrementally, it's going to extend the payback period and obviously increase the cost. Because we're still then going to have manpower out there reading meters every quarter.
Well, that's
a portion of it.
That's another subject,
Can you put these,
That's crazy.
Can you put these remote readers on existing meters that are working fine?
What was the end of it? Can you put it on existing meters, the new ones?
Yeah, if we have some meters, like the 18 that we tested, seem to be working fine, is it possible to put that remote reading device on meters that are working fine?
If they're fairly new, as long as it's got some sort of electronic registry onto it, yes. No matter what brand, we can team up with it, yes. Some of the bells and whistles won't happen with it because we're not talking exactly the same language, but yes, we would still get the read back, we'd still get leaks back and so on.
And
But
the
we can do
meter,
that.
correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, the meter's the relatively inexpensive part.
Yes.
Compared to the reader. So if we're gonna be able to get the signal back, but we're not sure about the meter, I don't think we've really solved the problem.
What is the cost? What's the cost of the meter? I know the last time we did this study back in '03, '04,
Yeah.
when Kevin was here, Kevin Kropchak was here, we did this study, and we come to find out it was $750,000 at the time to do the whole village.
So
That was to install too?
Tom, you were working with Kevin, weren't you on
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I did a board presentation.
Yeah. You know, back then, I guess the village board decided, well, wait a minute, $750,000 times 5 guys, 2 days, you know, whatever. That cost is a little bit, so what's the cost now, about the same?
Meter cost would be about $400,000 for the meters, and it'd be about $185,000 or less to have them installed.
Have it installed and whatever,
Yeah, so you're right back up to your about that $700,000 a year.
$750,000.
But that's about a 1-year payback. Then after that, it's $700,000 a year in revenue.
You think?
Yeah, thank you.
I think, no offense, statistically, you need more of a 10% of the sampling than 1%. To be fair to the taxpayers, I think that's what the gentleman was saying. And having such a low percentage to compare it to and then to tell us that the village would be making back that revenue, that sounds great, but is that really what's going to happen? That's what our fear is.
In a
Who does
perfect
that pull
world.
back on, the taxpayer?
When you're saying in a perfect world,
Right.
it will happen, but we know that's
Right,
not.
like, are you going to guarantee that and sign it? Because then we'll be like, okay, but.
We do have
Shared
a,
profits with me, I would do that.
I would do it too.
Sure, but.
Yeah.
we do have a small
I mean, it
development.
sounds great,
Let
but.
me bring this up. We know that 10 years ago, it was 25%. Now it's 50%. So we know that we can at least get back to where we were. So if we even get half of that back, $350,000 a year.
Again,
Get
everyone
to that
everyone was
10%
just
threshold.
concerned
I
about
guess
the
if you're
size
telling
of the
me
sample.
18 samplings of
And
1,800 homes.
and we sent out 40 or 50 requests to get that. More, maybe 60 to just get those. We wanted more. We didn't get the
Oh, you mean
response.
homeowners that
Yes.
would be willing to do this?
Yes.
I mean,
I
I
didn't
didn't
get
get a
one.
request. I didn't
Well,
have
we
one.
basically picked them out strategically around the village, yeah.
We tried to do the oldest part of the village,
Yeah.
the older readers.
Okay.
So we
Yeah, I
tried to,
understand that, that makes sense.
and then, like I said, we sent out letters, and we sent out letters again to different homeowners to try to get responses, which is one of the reasons why, if we ultimately do this, we are going to probably go to a third-party installer who specializes in meter installations, who will work 7 days a week and will work at off hours to get into people's houses, because, yeah, we can't have DPW do it. They're overtaxed as it is, and to try to get into people's houses during working hours is, yeah, especially in a bedroom community like we have here.
I agree with you, and you're right. You guys overtaxed, and they're gonna say no, and I agree with you, a third party should do it if it goes through. And it should concentrate and focus first on the older homes where meters haven't been changed. Where I'm at, I know they changed the meters.
Well,
They're digital.
I'm installing a driver, but I don't have a digital meter.
I do. You don't? Yeah.
Well, they only get replaced, correct me, if we're having an issue with a billing problem, that something is discovered and either meter is slowed down, rarely do they speed up, but if it's not functioning because they're going and trying to take a reading and nothing seems to be happening, then we'll call you and we'll try to make that appointment to come in and then replace it. So yeah, if that happened to your house, then you ended up with a newer technology. Frank hasn't had an issue, you know, at this point, there's no real reason.
Yeah, there was
So now
some-
you've got a mishmash of newer stuff that could be 15 years old, and you got stuff that's 30 years old.
Right.
It's never been touched. So I think, back to even the playing field, if you come in with everything new, you're gonna get a real number. Not that, oh, we only did 50%, we're only here, so if we did the other 50, you think we would be there. And, I agree, we could,
The other thing that we're doing too is, I should just explain this too. There's a lot of manual entry here. The guys go out, and stop me where I'm wrong there, Chris, write the numbers down in the book. It then gets transcribed again and written down in a better format to give it to the clerk, who then manually enters the numbers. So the numbers are, I believe, 8 or 10 numbers long.
Depends if it's the dial reader.
Yeah, so they're between 8 and 10 numbers, the whole readout. That gets transcribed 3 to 4 times. And all you need to do is make one number wrong. Depending on what number wrong is in the sequence, it could be a gallon, or it could be 10 gallons, 100 gallons, 1,000 gallons, or 10,000 gallons off. So there's a lot of places for error here that with an automatic reading system, we save manpower, we eliminate all these questions about where the errors are. And one of the things I've said before is we can kind of, is it a reading error? Is it an input error? Is it a meter error? This gets rid of it all because this pushes the button and we have a number.
How old is the system that we have here now for the input system? Rather than,
20?
Well, it's more than 20.
No.
Oh, what, the reading system or the meters?
The reading
well,
system.
okay, it comes down to
manual.
human error, okay, the reading, and then it's being given to someone who manually puts it into the computer. How up to date is that program in the computer? Is it, because it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
It's a lot cheaper to make sure everything with the human side is working.
there's 2 separate things. There's this, and then there's the billing. The billing software, from what I understand, is relatively new.
It is.
And that's separate,
That's only a couple of years.
yeah, and
old.
that's separate from the
Okay.
reading. The reading stuff that whatever company we go with, they're gonna batch dump the data to the billing software. And the billing software does what it does. But to get the bills out, these guys have to write them down. The clerk has to input them and check them, I guess. And then it gets billed.
So is this replacing someone in the village hall?
Well, it's replacing DPW guys, you're gonna pick up a man hours.
Okay, that's,
In terms of how much, I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm thinking that it's going to be a lot quicker to put out bills. Because there's no manual input anymore.
We would have, once you push the button that says, send the reads over to billing, it would be a matter of seconds, and that would happen. So however long your printer takes to print them, and I come across this one time, and I said, oh, you have bills out in an hour. Well, come to find out they had a slow printer, and 8 hours later, they were only halfway through the printing part of it. So that would count on your printer, but as fast as your printer operates and so on, is be how fast these bills would come out. Yeah.
So I don't think anyone is disputing the technology, because it sounds like if you use this, pretty much paying for what you use, rather than hopefully the reads are correct and all that stuff. So with all the potential added revenue that you guys are talking about, would there be any discussion of any tax credits or anything like that in the future?
I think that would be, I think 2 things, just my personal opinion, is one, you'd have to put money aside for future projects.
Correct.
Create those kind of funds so that if well rehabilitation needs to be done, that it can be done on its regular basis.
Of course.
If new wells need to be developed, you've got the cash flow to get that off the ground. And yeah, once everything is balanced and you know where you are, then for me personally, would definitely, a reduction in water fees, absolutely.
Yeah.
it could only stay within the water, correctly? Correct?
Water can move.
Water can move, sewer can't move.
Right.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
By the way,
but nothing can move.
sinkholes only happen in areas in states where there's a high concentration of limestone. This is all bedrock.
Yeah, my point,
Okay.
I'm just saying, you're gonna, like we had a
leak.
leak on 94, and there was a very big depression in Route 94. And we
Yeah.
went after it, we found it, we fixed it, But that's the kind of thing that I'm talking
Yeah.
about, that you would
I
source
think
by
that, you
water
know,
someplace. I mean, it's
I'm not
gonna-
against
Yeah.
generating revenue, it benefits me, it benefits taxpayers here.
Well, it gives you
Okay.
real, I mean, for the first time, you're gonna be able, and it means a lot, I think, more to people than we think, but it gives you real data for what you're doing. You know, you can log into the system yourself and take a look at your usage.
I got that already, I got a solar. I go
Yeah,
back to-
I mean, now we're talking water, but that gives you the
But
opportunity.
it's the
but-
same, it's
yeah.
the same technology.
Yeah.
You know, they read it, they send me, they
It's
tell me,
important.
look, yeah, and I'm not against that. But when you do something as big as this, I think you should do a better study, a greater study, and present it. One of the problems I've always had over 30 years here is that the board seems to do certain things that it wants to do without asking the homeowners. Are they in agreement?
That's why we're here tonight. This was an introduction to a meeting we had a few weeks ago about this whole, I'll call it situation, right? And this is just the beginning step. And we'll
Okay.
continue to do this, and, you know, we'll advertise these meetings, and we'll send, when we get to the point of really making a decision and bringing in the vendor maybe again, before we start the process, and we need Jim or somebody to develop the RFPs, and we can go out and take that step. But yeah, this is just the beginning. But we wanted to introduce it to everybody that was here tonight.
We do have a small development going on of 80. Are they putting these meters in?
No, they probably put the census SR2s.
Can we ask them to, all right, so it's just the.
We can have that discussion.
It's the competitor.
Yeah.
Of this, okay.
I mean, we're gonna have to ultimately, when we do this, we're gonna have to bid it out, you know? so-
No, I know, but
These
it's
guys
just
are
another,
consensus, it could
you know,
be-
but I certainly agree with comments that we need to do more than 1%.
And again, we tried, like I said, maybe there were 60 letters sent out. It was very hard to
Maybe
get
let's
people
get-
What
to.
about an ad or something?
Let's get 160 letters sent out and maybe we'll get
How
2%,
about 200?
you know.
I think you should send
And
it
then
out
maybe
to
respond.
all the residents of the village, asking them to participate and note the revenue that's being lost, because then that gets everybody's ire and they see $700,000.
Yeah.
Wow. You're gonna get more participation.
I think, I mean, letters work, but I think the CTY system,
That's it.
right? We just make
It's a
a
beautiful
couple
system.
announcements, and
Whatever it's
we
gonna
ask
take
for
to get it
volunteers.
out.
Call us, and we'll get your addresses, and we'll deal with it.
But I agree, it's more than, we need to do more than 1%. More than 1% doesn't tell you anything. Less than 1% rather doesn't tell you anything.
You know, the voting and stuff now, they don't count 1% of anything, and, you know, that stuff, so.
And that's not even 1%, by the way, that's
No, it's
0.001.
0.0, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's how small that is. It's just, you know, picture that, you know, we did that on a survey of presidential.
Well, if our boss wanted to give us 0.001 raise, we would take it, right? We'd hold out, so we need to get more people.
Out of curiosity, this might sound dumb, are you, say you go forth with this and you install this on all the homes, are you gonna have like a couple of hundred people who are suddenly pissed off that they're gonna have a bill that they're not used to because all this time their water's been, okay?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
There are people that are out there right now
That's what I'm thinking.
that are using less than 10 gallons a day. And I know that there's families living in that house.
And they probably know it too.
Oh, you
And
think
so-
they know it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they know.
We can, yeah, we
You
can,
know, in all honesty, I'm meeting people that are angry that there's no more horses roaming the streets.
Okay.
So
just,
we gotta take.
we can go out and we can do a bigger sampling. It's manpower and it's cost, because those meters are, what are we buying them for? We're buying them for $130 a piece, and we will probably be throwing them away. We have data that shows how many people are using less than the minimum rate.
Why doesn't the vendor the salesman donate some to try to sell his product?
Well, one, we don't know who the vendor's gonna be.
But I'm saying, if,
That could
if
be
you
one
want,
part of the bid, actually.
right, I mean, it's, again,
What's that? Yeah,
Well,
but
no,
we know, we have data based on the billing software that shows where the percentage of users are. We have, I'm doing this off the top of my head, I think more than 60% of the village using less than the minimum. We know that, and that's not realistic.
But if you're using less than the minimum, correct me if I'm wrong, people who are using less than minimum are still being charged the minimum.
Correct.
Okay.
But
So-
they're being charged a rate, but we're not recouping that dollar amount.
But we're not going
What they're really
But
using.
that's never going to change, is it?
No, but the minimum is basically developed.
So then this really doesn't, I could care less how much I'm using. I'm not using what I'm entitled to and I'm still being paid. I still have to pay for what I'm not using.
The theory is that.
That's
this
my
is gonna
point.
show-
I don't use,
He
I
doesn't-
pay the minimum, but
I
I'm
have
not
to fill my
there.
pool. Where are you
So why
located?
can't you set this, why can't you set the system up then as a pay-when-you-use
Sell
system?
your water. We do.
Yeah, that's true.
Normally, that's how it is, it's probably that way here.
No. the
Well, no,
village
he's
is-
not, he's saying if you're entitled to so much.
Less than 7,000 gallons a quarter, which is very, very low, is a base rate. But that's low.
But you're saying, you know, how many, what's the percentage of, you know,
It's over, it's
that are
over,
using less than
it's
the minimum?
over, it's over 50%, which is very, very low. That's basically an average of one person living in every home.
And how many, what's the percentage of people using above and beyond?
You don't get to that break point until, I don't have the numbers with me, but it's a lot higher. The majority of the people are using less than 10,000 gallons a day, which used to be the minimum.
Right, so if you just did a pay-what-you-use, it would probably be relatively close to washing out based on if the people that are using less, they're paying less, and people that are using more, they pay more, instead of having limits on what you're entitled to.
Well, there's limits for two reasons. One, there's a bottom limit, so the village is guaranteed a revenue stream. And then there's an upper limit to
Yeah, but
encourage conservation, because we just don't want the person out there watering the lawn that can afford to do it, and we don't have the water to produce. It's a tiered system, which is common to the majority of municipalities. We're not any different than majority
Right,
of
but you're still penalizing the person for not using the minimum. The village is still getting, you know, getting paid
We
for
are
that.
getting some money.
So, I mean, that's,
You know, Frank, on the other hand too, that whole system might be revamped
right.
once we realize what we have.
That's what I'm saying, it's just, you
So
know,
then you
if
could
you're gonna,
slide
if you're
that
gonna be
number
that
down.
accurate where you can,
Yeah,
you
but the key in
know,
there is
you can
money.
monitor it.
I've never seen a
Well,
municipality
my,
reverse
the
itself.
only thing I'm going on
I've never
is,
seen a municipality reverse itself at the benefit of its residents, you know, because you're going to need money. My thing is social science. There's a bubble in the horizon. I make investment. There's a bubble in the horizon. Okay, and some people are going to get hurt again. That last fiasco, and no one went to jail, people got hurt. They lost their pensions, they lost their positions,
Right.
and whatnot. I see another bubble in the horizon. Now we take on a debt, 600,000, with the hope that we're going to generate hope. Let's be sure.
you,
That's all I'm saying.
Well-
Let's be sure.
I don't think we'll ever be 100% sure, but we
Let's
have
be
to be.
60% sure.
Yeah, I think we
Because
have
there's
to
supposed
be,
to
I
be
think-
13,000 in the meters,
yeah.
as opposed to losing 600,000 if this doesn't work out to what we think it will. And I think you have to lay out 13,000 to spend on the meters for 100 homes for people who are willing to do it. They're 130 each. I think what the gentleman's saying is true. You almost have to put the taxpayers' minds at ease and come up with a more substantial number, or, you know, statistically, just to tell us what.
In order for this to go through, we have a lot of work to do, to get to the point where everyone is comfortable with the decision, whatever that decision is.
One of the things I think maybe would help too, and I think maybe Tom can give you some names, I can give you some names too, is talk to some of the other DPWs. You can talk to Goshen, you can talk to Wallkill, guys that have been through it before, talk to their finance guys.
Yeah.
Chris can talk to the
Yep.
DPW guys if he wants. You know, because to get a true statistical analysis, we really need a lot of data. It's just not picking meters. I really need to know, or somebody needs to know, how many people are in the home. Just saying that you want to change it, and it could be a gentleman like this that lives by himself. We don't know. To do a real statistical analysis, it takes a lot more than just replacing a meter. And if somebody's replacing a meter, who knows? Now they have a new meter. You know, what was happening before? I I don't know. You know, we can do that, and we're more than happy to go out there and, you know, replace 100 meters if we can get them, and dedicate, you know. What's it take, you gotta change a meter out there, if we can get in a couple hours?
Half an hour,
You take hours.
This can work without the antenna, right? We can still manually read the
Yes,
units
yes.
anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
But it comes with a starter package, it's pretty inexpensive.
Right. But we don't have to go through the whole,
No, a starter package comes with 10 of these units and access into the software, so you could read it every day as it comes through, and
What's a starter unit cost?
$2,200, $2,250. So, yeah, it gets you up and going.
Plus the meters.
Plus the meter bodies, and they're about $50 a piece, so.
I mean, maybe that's the way to do it, is to,
yeah.
we take 10 or 20, and we pull them, we put this in and run it as a test drive. That's less than 13,000. That way, we're test driving the system for
And you're going in the right direction.
$5,000.
Mount Pleasant did that down Westchester County, and they've now gone a little bit extra time onto it. They were only going to do it for 4 months, they're into it for 8 or 9 months. But they saw the impact that it was going to do into their budget, so it's over a $2 million project down there, that they're actually over $3 million that they're going to do, realizing the payback is relatively quick. But that's how they started, was with a $2,200 starter package.
I would like to, you know, right off the bat, put them into 3 schools that are in the village.
That's
High
different,
school,
well,
middle,
that's
and
different, no, we gotta be careful there because the meter's a lot bigger. We got probably 2-inch
So we need
meters,
3 big meters, and then a whole bunch of little ones.
but those,
Like your thought.
yeah, those meters are a couple $1,000s a piece.
No, he threw them in, just.
I didn't stay working 40 years for
Yeah.
doing that.
You know, but, you know,
3
that's
years in one
something
day.
that, I think that would be a great reading between the months of September to June. Okay, schools. We don't have any other institutions.
If it's easy enough to test those 3, if there's only 3 schools, you can test those meters.
Well, have we been testing those meters then? Okay,
There's a
good
brand
point.
new meter in the high school.
What's that?
Before I retired, there's a brand new meter in high
Is
school.
it a compound or is it a straight 2-inch?
Compound. Because it will defect low flows too.
So they're probably $2,500 a piece.
You know, I
Plus
don't
or
remember.
minus.
So let's
but you
test
gotta
those
remember
meters now to
one
see
thing
if, let's test those meters now to
is
see.
commercial meters, anything above 1-inch meter is the people who owns that property are the ones that are responsible for that meter. Anything above a 1-inch meter is responsible of the owner of the property. Because you guys don't want to start getting into the cost of 2-inch meters, 3-inch meters, 4-inch meters. That's why it was put in the zone, in the local law to say, like the winery. Brotherhood Winery has 3 2-inch meters in it, just alone. So, you know, when you start planning this stuff out, you have to look at your laws and how it's read and how it's interpreted to say, okay, the village is going to buy 10 2-inch meters at 5,000 apiece. Okay, so now your profit's going down a little bit because you're spending that money as initial cost. Right now, you're talking 1-inch meters and 3/4-inch meters, correct?
3/4-inch meters, yes.
Yes. Okay, that's
What's
where
your
you,
preference?
Is it possible that, and it brings up an interesting point, and totally forget about the commercial side, that there's an abuse of water because they own the meters and they can play with it, they can tamper with it, they can do whatever?
Our production's not going up. If that was the case, our production would spike. We don't see that. Our production's relatively flat. That's why we know where it is. It's not, I mean, we can continue to study this. But our production is here, and our billings have continued, our billings have continued to go like this. There's only one place where it is. There's not.
You know, where is that? You test, well, that's my.
Because again, we have to figure out we're gonna blindly do this, just like we blindly did before. We're gonna get 100 volunteers, you know, we're not.
But I'm not understanding.
But it's
You
just
know where-
residences,
like-
like single home residences?
Just single home
Or is
residents.
that-
That's the majority. The commercial users, you know, like Artie said, we'll make them responsible for their own meters. That's typically the way it works.
Yeah, but I guess, how do you know the deficiency is with the single home residences versus the commercial?
We don't have any, we don't have an Anheuser-Busch here, like a metal container up where we have up in New Windsor that's using 200,000 gallons a day.
But you have a winery.
But we're not using, remember, it's,
You have a winery
our
that uses a
production,
great amount of
but our
water.
production is flat. What we're putting out and what we're producing is the same. It's what we're billing that has gone down. We didn't all of a sudden go from 500,000
You're producing the
to
same amount
700.
of water,
We're
but we're
producing the same
collecting
amount of
less
water.
and
But
less
my
water.
argument is that he's saying he knows where
That's
it is.
my
I'm
question.
assuming he knows where, I'll use the
No.
term leak is or something? No?
No.
We know based on.
You know where the water loss is?
Based on
Or
industry,
use?
based on industry standards,
Yeah.
what we're producing is about right. It's about 65 to 75 gallons per day per person, okay?
Okay.
What we're using is substantially less than that. And what we're using has continually gone down. What we're billing has continually gone down over a decade, okay? We're not losing it. We don't have a big leak out there that's creating something, okay? Something has slowed down in the systems, and the only thing that we measure is the water meters. That's the only data that we have out there. And that number has continued to decrease over
But
time.
why is it pinpointing, I guess, the single home residences for the most part?
Well, we don't have a big user who, we used to be billing 400,000 gallons a day, and now we're billing 200,000 gallons a day. We don't have that person out there. Even I don't know what the winery uses, if it uses probably 5,000 gallons a day, it's a lot probably. It's probably not even close to that. So we don't have that gigantic user out there that isn't using what it used to use. And again, our production's the same. It's what we're writing down is what's different.
But before you stated that, you know that there's certain households that are very low. And you
Yes.
know for a fact that there's a full family in there and that number is off. So
Yes.
why don't you look at that house or those houses?
Or put the meter on that house.
Or
Well, we
put the
can,
meter on their
if we
house.
can get in, it depends if we want to start to
Yeah,
pinpoint
you
people.
stated that you know that for
How
a
big-
fact that these houses are a
We do.
full family.
And that's
the number's
based up to the
very
board. I
low.
mean, we can take a look, and we
So
can,
let's
we
investigate
can
those
pick-
houses.
we-
I mean,
we
if
can-
you have people abusing the system,
No.
we're all gonna have to pay for it.
but it's 200,000 gallons of it, which means it could be 100 gallons here and 100 gallons there. It's 100 gallons a house over the 1,800 houses that we have out there. There's the 200,000 gallons.
That's
Try to
what-
drill down into that number to study exactly where it is. It's going to cost us more than the $1,900 that it's costing us a day right now. That's a real number. And we have other municipalities that are not out someplace way away from here that are in local Orange County. You can take a look on the most of the municipalities' websites and find their annual report. You'll see in their annual report, just like in our annual report, there's a section that talks about water produced, water billed, water unaccounted for, okay? We were the highest in the county that were on the website. All of the other ones that were even close to us are either have recently replaced their meters or in a meter replacement program. The only one that was even close to us was Walden, which just went out to bids for a meter replacement. Goshen's been in theirs for a couple of years. Village of Chester did theirs not too long ago, I think.
They're getting ready to start into this
Okay.
program. Yep.
So everybody else is pretty much in this same boat with these villages that are all about the same age, that all had the big booms back in the 80s, that all put water meters back in there. It's just not us. We're kind of the last ones to get involved in it, but it's the coming of age of the county as a whole. And when we take a look at all these little variables, and I said this at the last meeting, we can kind of point fingers, part of it's probably reading, part of it's probably input, part of it's inaccuracy someplace.
Thank you.
But when it all adds up, all we're trying to do is recoup this money. That's real money. And even if it's 50% of what we think it is, it's still $350,000 per year. And even if it takes 3 years and we have this for 20, after, say 5 years, for 15 years, that is essentially free revenue that can be used for projects or be used not to raise rates in the future.
That's the one. You wouldn't be raising rates.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to be raising rates because if that number continues to go, it costs so much money to operate any water system with the pumping, the chemicals, the health. those costs never go down and they never go away. You have a minimum amount of staffing no matter how much water you sell. So as your revenue goes down, sooner or later, boards, they have no choice but to raise the rate, and that's where people get hurt.
I give you that. You're absolutely right. Nothing's going to go down. Everything's going to go up. Water is going to be. Water is the most valuable, precious commodity. There's only 1% fresh water, 6.5 billion people in the world. 1%. The rest, 2% is nice. It's leaking into the sea. So we know that water will be a precious commodity. Precious now. I'm not saying no. I just say you got to do a better job of canvassing and presenting this so that you don't go into. It's a fair thing to equally charge people throughout. Right now, you're picking up the cost, I'm picking up the cost. It's true. Okay? Therefore, they're going to get hurt because their budget keeps going up, and if we don't have the revenue in a small village like this to keep the police, keep the workers working, it's going to come out of our pay. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, do a better job in terms of justifying the cost. I see a bubble in the horizon. There's going to be another economic swing. I can afford to sustain. I'm retired. My pension, my disability, it's all covered. Plus, I may not be here. I don't care. But I've seen good families have to leave, give up their homes, and whatnot. So I just say, proceed cautiously. That's all. Proceed cautiously.
Another alarm that this has that could help you if you're away in your house at the winter time. Gets down to 35 degrees, it's going to notify you. It's getting cold. Get you warmed up, otherwise it's going to freeze and bust, and you have problems in your basement. So just another added feature.
I keep it at 60.
How many broken meters did you have 2 years ago?
Or a few.
Yeah. Yeah. How many of them were finished basements?
How many homes were vacant?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
how many vacant homes are in the village?
Yeah.
How do we not know that there's a leak in the? that
Lots of
there's
times
a
you don't tell it's
problem?
coming out. You
Well,
won't know it
again,
again until
our
it comes out the
production's
basement
not
wall
going
or
up.
basement windows.
Our production's flat.
Yep.
That's how we know that there's a meter reading thing. If our production was going up and down,
How about if all these people lived in these vacant homes? The numbers would be much higher,
they
wouldn't
become,
they?
to some extent, but again, even if we had 10% of the vacant homes, which we don't have, that's only 60,000 gallons a day, 50,000 gallons a day. It's not a big number when we're doing 500,000 gallons a day. We vary between 475 and 525 on any given day. Today it's 600,000, again, because it's a beautiful day, it's addressed.
So it's 475,000 gallons to what? 520?
About 525. Our overall average is just a little bit less than 500,000 gallons a day.
And in the summertime, it's higher?
Hasn't changed at all in 20 years. It's been the same number.
It's been an average of 425 to 575.
So basically, you're saying the equipment that most of the homes have is just archaic, it's old.
Well, most of the homes,
And that's the issue?
yeah, most of the homes, the big building boom here was
86.
early 80s
Okay.
through, 90s, and then there was another big bubble after, 9/11. But you go back to 80, we're talking 40 years old.
That's 3/4 of the village.
That's
That's
3/4 of the
Stone Ridge,
village.
Newcastle.
But again,
After that, you had Canterbury next to Taft. Emerson's been here 40, 50 years probably, down in that
With the
area.
same meter,
I'm sorry?
with the same meter?
Some of there's never been an overall meter
It
replacement
hasn't,
program.
yeah. I mean, this is
It's
the
been here
first.
and there.
Right.
So even if we have 25% replaced, it hasn't been even that much.
I'm just trying to make myself feel better than I can.
Yes.
but if you have the technology that is that great, that, it could, we'll just say it could figure out how much per gallon, or identify, like, what is it? How many gallons you're using, or by the 10th of a gallon, or whatever it is?
It comes in every night. It sends in hourly reads for every home or business, and it gives hourly reads down to
Right.
the
So-
10th of a gallon.
So I think, if you're gonna embrace that technology, what I think would also help some people is, again, just to pay for what you use. If the technology is able to do that, why not utilize it and, again, not put minimums on the taxpayers and what they have to pay, whether they use it or not.
Once we get the system, if we get the system in place and we have that data that we didn't have before we had to wait every 3 months before we got the data to see how much revenue we were gonna generate. Now, on any given day, the board member or the treasurer could say, okay, we're generating this much, this is how much revenue we're going to have. And, you know, one of the things that Mr. Bucko brought up was, could we bill every month? Now we bill every quarter, you know, and we have gaps in our revenue stream.
Right.
We could get a bill every month, and I think a lot of people would like a bill every month, just like you get your Orange and Rockland bill, because then you're gonna get, you know, 1/12 of it as opposed to 3 times that.
Right, but again, if, you know, again, if you're a homeowner that doesn't use the minimum, just pay for what you use and not have to pay.
And if we have that data and can run that number, and we can get to that, whatever it costs us, you know, because we're only allowed to bill basically what it costs to operate the
Right.
system plus some
Right.
capital. Yeah, they could do that, they could bill basically per gallon.
Because I think you would probably break out even if you're recouping that money from the people that are using above, you know, that, and, you know, they're paying for that extra.
Yeah, but there's a problem here.
What's that?
And I got, as much as I hate to say it, you know, they're gonna always have to have a minimum. We don't generate that kind of revenue here because we don't have commercials, we don't have factories, we don't have the commons, we don't have that here. So,
That's the
we gotta
discussion.
endure carrying the bill. And, you know, I've been here over 30 years, these guys do a great job maintaining this town. Okay? A lot of the workers that are here I've gotten to know over the years. Okay? And some of them can't afford to live here, much less, okay? But we're always gonna have a minimum because we don't generate that kind of money in a small village like this.
Again, based on his data collection, you can see if that happens.
Those models are easy to run once we have the data.
It sounds like almost once it's done, it might be possible, I mean, or at least to lower it. I don't know, I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, I'm.
Well, you know, that would be the goal. I
mean,
mean, at the end of the day, if you're
Yeah.
bringing in that kind of money, and you can continue
Keep it
to,
back.
well, you know, and how often does that happen, right? I mean,
Something.
normally, we'd be creeping it up, but we're like a dog chasing his tail at this point. We're raising the rates, but we're billing less.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're never gonna get where we need to be, and you're gonna turn around one day and say, listen, I'm paying $300 a quarter for this, but, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not getting anything. Then we need to do a capital project, and then we gotta borrow the money, and we gotta charge it again.
Right.
So here's maybe an opportunity to relook at the entire budget once we know what we have.
As taxpayers, you know, it's just the whole thing that you want to embrace all this stuff, and it costs money, and you hope it generates revenue and profits and things like that.
Yeah.
Taxpayer just wants a little something back, and just that's.
And I think Jim said at the last meeting, or when we met, something, you know, to paraphrase you, but this is probably one of the capital projects that you would want to invest in, that you're actually going to see a return.
Yeah.
Right.
If you went to the bank and said, I got a $1 million project, but I'm gonna generate $700,000 in revenue, they're gonna say, great.
You got the loan.
We got the loan, you know?
Well, I also, sometimes if it's too good to be true, I mean, that's
Well,
what I was
that's
raised.
cautiously
It's probably not,
optimistic.
yeah.
I think we have a lot of work to do to come up with a solution that everyone could understand. Just have to have an open mind through the whole process. It's not gonna be done today, it's not gonna be done tomorrow. We have
And
to
you're
do
gonna put an
more
open
than.
bid, you're gonna put an open bid out, not just this gentleman, but other companies, to get the best possible
I
deal.
think we legally have to do that.
Each company will present all their options,
Yeah,
like
okay.
he has the manual meter or moving meter, and he's got the electronics, and he's got a stainless steel, and he's got a plastic. So we want to look at all.
Okay.
And with it being installed, turnkey, and understand the timeframes, and our warranties are really important to us, because, listen, if something breaks, maybe we give them a buzz, they send out their company to take care of it within maybe the first couple of years. So our guys don't have to be worried about that stuff.
We don't even know how much it's gonna cost to install.
Yeah, I'd like to know, how many
That
guys
could
you
go
say,
down the box.
5 guys you have to spend?
Five guys, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2
Every
weeks.
quarter.
Okay,
And the
and so
administrative
what's,
part, the secretary,
how much is that costing
Yeah.
you?
My guess is probably $60,000 a year. It's
Okay.
basically one guy. We're losing one guy, one manpower guy over the course of a year to read meters. And a person, yeah, that's not a full-time job, please correct me if I'm wrong, Dodie does other things, but the majority of her job is water meter billing, data input and billing.
And I think, as Jim mentioned, also the biggest
So it's costing $100,000.
improvement is there's no manual touches anymore. It's not going from me to you, and all these possibilities of just, you know, the data entry errors, which, you know, and part of it too, there's not real strong edit reports that would say, listen, you know, that should have been a 3 and it's, you know, I should have been a 1 or something else, and dramatically changed the bill. And you get the bill and you call up and say, whoa, what's this? That, I think, would be eliminated, because you're talking about a batch file download, and it's electronic data. And it will happen quickly. You know, it's as fast as we can print and get it into the mail. And again, we could do it monthly.
No,
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know.
it's mind-boggling to me that, and I know what you're saying, you're putting out the same amount of water, but the amount in terms of how you use the data indicates that something's not working right. And so you're looking at the overall picture. And the ladies are saying, well, you have data that shows that certain people or certain residents should be using this, but they're not. So they're suspect. But you're looking at a greater picture, and I understand that.
And I'm not, you know, there was a point that I was trying to look for exactly what the problem is, and there's a lot of variables here, there's a lot of places where a lot of problems could be, and this eliminates one.
The touch way of reading meter, right? Was it like a fob?
It's almost like a wand.
Okay.
Are you downloading it into a handheld or just capturing it?
Handheld device that
Yeah.
used
So you're writing, still manually writing everything down. How many rereads do you do a quarter? 25, 30?
and a little more than that.
Yeah. Reread
Back
is,
out.
they brought the read back and it was either too high or too low, and now they said, go back out and make sure your numbers were right. So that's up and beyond already being in the house the first time. That they get a reread, so you're not sending out a huge bill, and then sometimes the huge bill goes anyhow, but,
And for practical purposes, these guys, and Chris will tell you better than I will, but they're dealing with dogs, they're dealing with a 2 foot of snow, they're dealing with fences, they're dealing with looking through people's nice shrubbery out in the front to try to get to the meter, to try to write it down when it's 20 degrees out, and I know it's their job, but mistakes do happen when you have that human element.
Oh, no, I get that, sure.
The other unique thing about our system is there's no equipment to buy, and that's a big advantage over it. My radio system, you gotta buy a laptop, and it's not a $5,000 laptop, it's a $25,000 laptop, because it comes filled with all the software, and all my competitors in the same area, they're a $25,000 laptop. They don't last forever. About 6-7 years, you're gonna be buying another $25,000 laptop. So the nice thing about this, there's no equipment to buy. The seller people are maintaining all the equipment that needs to be to read the meters. So that's a huge advantage going forward. You've only got the little push thing, and that probably hasn't given you any problems to speak of.
We have an older style and newer style. Sometimes the newer style doesn't read certain
Okay.
meters.
All right.
Old style.
Yeah, software issues.
We basically have a mismatch,
Yeah, yeah, so not having the equipment to deal with.
I apologize, Tom's got a leak.
Okay.
We said 8:15, we tried to hang out a little longer, but we're gonna have to stop the meeting. I apologize again.
No problem.
Sorry,
Motion, I make a motion to adjourn? I'm sorry.
Second.
Oh, so we're not going to go on with anything else?
You could speak to.
I second.
Speak to Tom as far as.
No, I'm not worried about that. The eventual outcome,
I want to talk to you.
Sorry? If he wants to talk about anything, anybody about anything else, can we?
You just can't transact any business.
No, we have to transact, but they can talk.
They can talk.
Once we adjourn, they.
Not sure if you're on your adjourn now.
But you're adjourned.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, again, we're gonna adjourn, and we're gonna stay here. And if you got something to say, Joe and I will, right, we'll listen.
Is there anything else for Tom? We're only gonna have here a little while.
Huh?
I'll probably finish with school.
Well, probably, Joe, quick.
Finish with school.
Okay, so again, we made a motion to adjourn, and,
Do you have any questions, concerns?
Just let me for our next step, I assume that we'll probably have another water committee meeting in the next month. We'll talk about this.
Yeah.
And then probably come back.
Right.
At this point, probably come back more than likely
right.
August, but probably September.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it, we'll talk about it again, so it's not gonna happen, you know, right away. Right. But
Somehow put this on a PowerPoint
Yes,
presentation.
yes, I can do a
So we
PowerPoint, yep.
could sit here, because everyone, yeah, they weren't given anything for me to look at. They're hearing numbers.
Yeah.
here,
Yep.
So, again, we're gonna adjourn this meeting.
You did already.
Yeah.
We did. Okay, so again, if anybody has anything to say, Joe and I will sit here and listen to you. How's that? And we'll relay the message.
I have some.
We'll,
Okay.
let me just, that's the,
This is the encoder.
I spoke to,
anybody? Anybody have anything to talk about? We're here to listen to you.
Sure.
Take this.
we are,
Yeah, you know what, let's talk about that.
That's all.
purchase these. I spoke to the.
I'm just waiting for one topic. I only came for one topic. I wound up with this. Green area.
It's in the middle of the street. It's not gonna be a stop sign. Right. But we have the stop sign. This is what South Dakota. Yeah, they don't have, they have an iPad. That road is going to be working. But I spoke to the manufacturer. They can just you know, he was told by his.
Okay, George, I'm sorry guys, listen up, I'm here to listen while they're talking. George, you have a question for me?
Yeah, I really came down to,
Okay, hold on a second. I gotta get George's attention, okay?
Sure.
He's talking to the attorney, can you give me a couple of minutes and we'll listen to you guys. We're here.
okay, great.
We have not leaving, we've given Joe another.
All right.
Nice seeing you. Okay, we're here to listen to you guys. So, anybody got anything? Speak up. Identify yourself, tell us.
Yeah, my name is George Forbes, and I'm in Stone Ridge, and I've been here for over 30 years, 32, 30, I think, built a home. I'm here about the green area. I was here 5 years ago.
Which green area?
The green area on, what do you, as capital? No, on
Ahern?
Ahern Boulevard. I was here 5 years ago, and I believe this gentleman was a witness to that, where a structure on a green area that was supposed to be, according to my letter from the attorney, from the builder's attorney, when the land was turned over to the village, originally it was destined to be a in-ground pool clubhouse for the residents who built their homes in Stone Ridge. But they could not agree.
Are you talking Vern Allen Park?
Right, what is Vern Allen Park?
Yeah.
Okay, this is, and
Thank
the Carr, who was the builder, wanted it to be used for the purposes of generating revenues. Couldn't, the village wanted it used because they had no pool here at that time. In fact, the high school didn't have a pool, which I had never heard of, okay? All high schools in New York State have a pool, it's mandatory. Except for some reason, the old-time residents who were here blocked it every time. And I fought for that, and the school got a pool. 5 years ago, we ran into this problem of someone wanting to turn a beautiful green area that everybody uses it, from soccer to football to t-ball to anything that people want to use it for. They wanted to put a structure, a fence, to fence it off. Okay? I got a big problem with that.
Right
I lived
now,
there.
that Vern Allen Park is in the process of being surveyed. Okay, so we know exactly what we have as far as land. I heard the same things that you're hearing, that there's going to be a building there, probably where the hockey rink was.
Right.
for everyone to come in and play basketball. Last month, we also discussed the possibility of fields throughout that area, whether it be softball fields, t-ball fields. We don't know what's going to happen there, but a building there, it's a floodplain. It's in the flood zone, correct?
It's a
Floodway, okay.
Yeah, it is, but you know what? This town has a history, this village has a history, okay, of doing things
Without, yeah,
that they shouldn't be doing,
I'm with you.
okay? I mean, I grew up
Yeah.
in New York City. I know politics. At 16, I was campaigning, okay? But you guys, it's not you, I don't want to say you guys personally, but you know, this town has done a lot of things, and most of us were commuters. We commuted to New York, we made our money, we came here, we trusted you to do the right thing. I have a letter from Clark's attorney that says, the land, Mr. Forbes, the land, we're turning it over, it's to be green area forever. I enjoy watching the various diverse groups of young people, older people, using it for that purpose, putting up a structure. You know, they got by with this roller rink. The guy lived up the block. I know who he was. I don't even think he's there anymore. Okay? They used it for one season, basically. None of the kids, really, from Stonebridge got to use it. Okay? There were teams from Monroe, teams from Goshen, teams from everywhere that used it, okay? On top of that, you know, we had a problem with kids drinking in the back there in the dark, by the bathroom, smoking joints, doing various things. Nobody took it into account. Who's going to clean that? These guys got to clean it. Now they had to tear it down at what? Our expense. Not the guy that put it up. He walked away from it.
We are in the, like I said, we're in the process of just having a survey to see what we have there, okay? At that point, once we have the survey, we're asking residents, okay? I put it in the paper, residents for the recreation committee. It doesn't have to be recreation committee, it could be, what would you like to see there? Okay, so nothing is, it's just like this meeting that we had
You know
here
what?
with the water meetings.
You know what? It's fine the way it is.
No, yeah, but we have to do something where I don't want a building there, okay? I don't want any more,
We can't do
but
that.
we can't do that. I don't want any ball fields there, okay?
Right. I don't want any fences. I don't want any, you know, look, the kids use it.
Yes.
They play t-ball. In the fall, you have tag football out there. You have soccer. That's fine. But,
I'm
you
with
know,
you
at present,
100%.
you know, you got a nice, well, I gotta say, not to let things, you took that ugly fence surrounded, why don't you put a basketball court up there so, you know, the kids, or a handball court,
Or,
something that.
Some
can
of
be
the
used.
ideas that we got were
Okay.
handball, a dog run, shuffleboard, bocce ball. It's coming, it's up and coming, bocce ball.
Yeah, in Monroe, I used to go up there.
Okay,
But
so then you could be the liaison of the bocce ball league.
I'm more concerned
No, I'm
providing
No.
something
No.
that keeps the youth
Yes.
involved, okay? And that floor looks great. Am I mistaken? But, you know, I was looking, geez, put up a couple of basketball courts, or
Yeah,
put a
you
handball.
have to,
you gotta fill it.
you have to
It's
walk
bad.
in.
It's a bad
Oh,
floor.
It's
Yeah.
really
It's bad. You know what?
No, it's not?
Yeah,
What happened was,
You could lose a foot.
a couple of years ago, I walked out the risk management, we checked it out with the insurance company, and then we had two options with that hockey rink. One, fix it, which was, we had someone, or we'll come in and patch it up for $5,000. We had, if we wanted to redo the whole thing, $80,000, right? So we decided, you know, we're not gonna do it, and it's a risk factor. So we took the fence down. The next step is what? We're gonna take the asphalt down and turn it, you know, put dirt and grass or what have you, and see what we're gonna do with it. We got, you know, there's no buildings going up there. We don't want no fences up there.
Right, I canvassed my neighbors, the originals, who built their homes in Stonebridge. When I told them what I had heard, some of them were supposed to be here tonight, they said, no, I'll be there. They are upset.
No,
You
they
know.
have a right, but that's, rather than just, it's that telephone game.
Yeah, it's what it
Okay.
was.
Rather than, you going back and reporting to them what you could, that there's not gonna be a building there. There's not gonna be any fence there. Okay. I like it just the way it is too. I like to see other things there, okay, but in the back. But we don't know how much land we have, that's why we were asking for a survey.
Okay, I'm under the impression, and I fought it 5 years ago, this gentleman was there, he was an expert, he's an expert, he's been here longer than I have. And he said, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
They wanted to build
Yeah.
a baseball field for 4 teams.
I was telling Art last night, I passed the Little League field Saturday afternoon at 12:30. It was a beautiful day out. There wasn't one person on that Little League field at the end of April.
Whitfield?
Yeah, Woodfield. Okay, we don't need fields, we need teams to play,
Right.
okay? We have plenty of fields, all right? 12:30 on a Saturday, beautiful day, there wasn't one team.
Yeah.
Do we need more field? No, not until that is overused, then we go to a different field.
And not only that, we fought long and hard many
Absolutely.
years ago
Yeah.
for that high school to get everything it got. And the biggest debacle that ever happened was an Olympic-sized pool that was supposed to be for regulation.
It's small, it's a tile with.
And we spent all that money, and at the end, it could never be used for meets. Come on.
We have, the village has, 3 schools in it, high school being the biggest of the 3. We need to marry the 2, the village and the high school, and the Board of Ed. Okay, so that's something that we all need to do. They have the fields, they have the pools. When they're not using it, because they come first, okay, they do open it up to the residents of the village.
When? It stopped, from what I know.
Well, I know the track is,
and it stopped.
well, I'll get back to you on that. I don't think it has, but I will find out, and I will get back to you on that. I know that the summertime, the track is going to be resurfaced. Okay, I believe it's the 3rd one, okay, since I'm up here. Tennis courts are going to be resurfaced. They're not moving anything, they're just resurfacing.
Listen, yeah, I don't have a problem with that, because the budget for the school is a whole different thing.
Yes.
They get state
Well,
money,
Yeah, but it's
they get
all our
state
money
money,
also.
and it's our money
Yes.
also. And I want my residents here
Yes.
to use it. I got an in-ground pool. But you know what? Still, I pay for that school
Yes.
with the understanding that the residents here, regardless of their income, okay, their education, okay, or who they are, their kids or them could use it. And then all of a sudden, it got pulled out from underneath them.
Well, I had a talk with the interim superintendent, Roy Reese, not too long ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. He's willing to come into one of our meetings, okay, so maybe I'll take him up on that, okay, to go over, because I believe he's going to be here all through next year. So it's he's
This is not a
leaving in
big
September.
village. We have
He's
to
willing,
use.
he was a superintendent, I believe, in Goshen, so it's the same type of.
Yeah, we have to use what we
Yes.
have.
So I will invite him to come speak, to the residents that, come to the meeting. So it's important that we have to marry those 2 together.
I agree.
Have to.
I agree.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. Ms. Mack.
Okay, I just, Diane Mack, Capitol Drive, Washingtonville. Regarding the Woodfield,
Little League,
field,
yep.
is that
It's
still
open.
have a lock on it?
It's open.
It's open?
Yeah, from what I
for
understand.
everyone to use?
It's open, the locks are off.
Okay.
Mayor Hines, he went down there and checked, he took pictures. What's that?
The big gate's locked. I
Right.
don't want a car.
But
going in.
if there is
Yeah.
people or children playing
It's-
on that
It
field,
belongs to the village.
it belongs to the
Yes.
village.
And as long as
They
there's
can't
no
be told
activities
to
going
get
on
off
with the
the
Little
field.
Leagues or what have you.
Right, I understand
Right.
that,
Okay.
but as this man
Yeah.
says, it's a public field.
Yeah, I actually, Chris and I spoke this, he brought it up, that the big gate is locked because
They
fear
don't
of
want
a car is
cars
gonna
driving
drive
in.
on them.
I understand that. But if there's a group of kids
I don't
that
even
want
know
to pick
how
up
the
a
permits
game.
work for that.
The permits come through us. In other words, someone come and say, I'd like to use that field, say on Sundays. That happened a few years ago. Victor Quinn came in, he had a team, he says, can I use it on Sundays? And we approved it. And to use that field, any team, say a team, something, they gotta come through us.
Right, but if it's just a bunch of local kids that would do a pickup game,
Right.
they're over there playing ball, they
There
shouldn't
should be
be
no problem.
told
There should be
to
no
get
problem.
off the field.
No, I don't
because it
think there
belongs
should
to-
be,
Because it belongs to girls softball.
no, it doesn't, it belongs to us.
I understand that, but this is what happens.
Well, that's, there's a situation, with Little League, it's always been the Little League. No matter where you go, Little League, it's their field. It's our field, you have to get off our field. It's not their field, it's all of our field.
If that ever happens, again, I'm sorry, if that ever happens, I'll be more than happy to give you my cell phone, and whoever's around there, if you want to give me a call, I'll be more happy to respond, to walk over there myself, introduce myself, and explain to them, hey,
Because like this man says, we have a field at Ahern, we're not sure what's gonna happen with it yet, which it should be open to unorganized sports, so everyone could use it.
We're getting too organized.
Well, that's the thing.
Sports.
Well,
So,
it's not so much.
Put a ball out on the field and see what
It's-
happens with it.
There appears to be a certain group of small people
Yes.
who are pushing their agenda without concern for other people, okay, in this village. And I'm not going for that.
I think one way to solve the Ahern, the Little League field,
mhm.
is maybe put something up. These are the days that Little League is using. The hours, these are the
that,
days.
Ahern, Field
First of
Ahern is
all-
open to the public,
No, but
Little
I'm saying
League should
to
be
to
open
stop
by
an
now.
argument, like,
Little
we're
League
playing,
should be open
playing
now.
softball and, well, Little League comes
but
here.
that, Little League is not using it. That's open field. The only time that field's being used is when people are practicing.
Right, but we don't know when that is.
But if they get a permit, they have to get a permit for it, you
Yes,
say.
right,
so-
yeah.
Right, so
That's-
really, it's just communication, but if any time you see a lock on that field, okay, you need to call, well, you have my
Call the
number,
village hall.
okay?
Right,
Or call, like I said, we'll give you our cell phone number and you call us.
right.
I'm always around, if you see me driving around in my own car. Joe's local, he's,
And we just cut the lock off, that's it.
Good. It
It's-
should
it's
be
open.
cut off, it's the kids.
So get a whole bunch of
It
locks.
should, everybody should be, I should be able to go down there and play if I chose to. You know what I mean? I don't want,
I'm sorry, Paul.
you never saw me play.
I got you, I got you.
Okay.
I would appreciate short answers.
Sure.
Short answers. What's the quorum for a meeting, for a village board meeting?
3.
3? So we had a quorum tonight?
Yes, sir.
Tom had to leave,
Yes, sir, that's how we had to stop.
and the other two, Murray and,
Personal reasons.
we know the village board meeting schedule, and we're an elected
Well, there was
official.
things that was planned, I don't know.
All right, I'm just asking because I know,
Three's a quorum, right?
I know, okay, three's a
Once
quorum.
Once Tom left, we couldn't continue, discussing.
Yeah.
However, we opened up the field here, Joe and
I know, but
to
what-
listen to you guys.
short answers, but we know that 3's a quorum,
Right.
and we knew, everybody on the board, all 5 members knew that there was a meeting tonight.
They all know, because it's.
Okay,
it's-
all right,
yes.
all right. Jim Farr, is he being paid for tonight's appearance?
It's a good question.
Good question. Like I said, we didn't,
Yeah.
we
I'm
didn't.
going to
Okay, hold
assume-
on, short
we-
answers,
we-
we don't know.
Okay.
We didn't-
Next question.
We didn't-
wait.
No, time out.
No, time out.
I'm gonna
We don't
hope
know,
he's being
you
paid
can't tell me
by,
yes or no, all I wanna know is yes or no.
I hope he's being paid by the gentleman who's doing it.
Okay, that was my next
Right.
question. What relationship does Jim Farr have with that Tom?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's the next question. It's kinda like the 2 engineers on the sewer thing.
That was very good what you brought up last time.
Is he on the village payroll, Jim Farr? Because he used a lot of we, and us, and our wells, and how
Marty, what does he do? The
we're
water-
doing,
He's our 2B water operator, and he's one of the village's engineers.
Right.
so he's on our budget. There's a line item
Right.
for his salary on our budget.
For
And I don't remember
He's
seeing it.
as needed. His thing is as needed. He gets paid as needed. Correct?
I think that was what the first meeting, the mayor had said $95 an hour. I asked the question, how many hours, and he says, as needed by him. He dictates how much he's needed. The mayor does.
Right
It's
now, the mayor's
$95 per hour.
right now, the mayor's holding back about $30,000.
Who's the village engineer? Do we have a designated, you know, we have the.
Right now, believe it or not, it's FAR, and then we also
It is?
have H2M.
Is
for
that,
the,
well, that's what I'm saying, we got H2M running around too.
No,
So do we have somebody in the reorganization of the village with the new board designated? We have a newspaper, we have a lawyer. Do we have someone that's identified as a village engineer?
In one of the reorganization meetings, we did mention FAR, and we did mention H2M, and the attorney.
All right, so
It's
both-
John Petrozzulli.
Gentleman,
So,
Petrozzini is the.
Petrozzini is the zoning,
Right.
zoning and planning, or just zoning?
You know, it might be both. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it's planning and zoning.
Okay.
I appreciate finding out if he's getting paid for tonight.
Okay, you got it. Check out tomorrow, and I'll get back to you.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, just one more
Go ahead.
question. On Ahern, by the dog, pooper thing,
Uh-huh.
by
There's a couple of
Newcastle,
Right, right.
okay? You said there's a lot of dumpage going on there? Is it gonna get cleaned up, or are we gonna put a sign there?
There's no dumping signs throughout the village. Apparently
But there's
a couple
not one right there, so obviously the person who's dumping
Well,
doesn't know.
I understand that, but even where there are signs, people dump right next to
Right.
them. So a sign's useless in most cases.
Okay,
So,
but,
I mean, if you want to sign up, we'll put a sign up. It's not going to solve anything.
but it's right next to the dog thing.
I think the person who's doing it needs to be told that he's not allowed to do it, and he will get a ticket.
He should be getting a ticket.
Okay, but we're gonna let it sit
That'll
there?
stop.
That's putting it kind of.
No, that'll stop.
But, 'cause
I will talk to the individual. I was,
The problem is it's grass, and we can't get rid of it because it's considered toxic waste.
okay, what about the trees?
The branches we can pick up and
Okay, because they've been there all winter. So, somebody goes there what, every Monday morning, Tuesday morning, pick up the
We go
poops?
usually Mondays and Fridays.
Okay, so twice a week, and the pile's getting bigger and bigger.
Well, I can't police it, you know,
No,
so,
I'm
I
just
mean,
telling, well,
I
it's
know
right
who,
there.
I think I know who's doing it, but I can't point a finger at him and say he's doing
Okay.
it, but.
I will myself, talk to the individual.
Okay, because it's continuously
I will.
growing.
Again, I'll talk to the individual, and I'll get back to you. I'll give you a call.
Okay,
How's that?
thank you, and thank you, Chris.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
And thank you.
Anybody else? All right, guys. Again, thanks for hanging out, and like I said, we're here for you guys, okay? Just-
Thank you.
See you next time.
Have a good night. Good night. What's tomorrow, 3 o'clock?
How you doing?
Tell me,
You look good. You doing all right? Listen, you used to run around here like that. Hell, yeah, every week. Good job, guys.
You'll see me while you drive around.
Yes, I
have to
do,
drive
all the
to-
time.
When are we gonna bring up the police budget? That's what I want to know. Why can't we get rid of the guys, the 97,000 the government is saying?
I'll be in touch.
Chris,
Have a good night. Good night. Are you away?
wait, Diane, what time tomorrow can you pick up flowers?
He's filling his pool.
Oh, there you go.
You don't want to pick them up. If you could just drop them off by the pots. So
And
that-
let Jonathan know that the lights will drop off after
I will.
lunch, okay?
Thank you.
We're gonna need some.
Okay, we're good. You okay?
Well done.
All right, we'll just finish it.
China is safe.
We just finished now.
Good.
Just, say we told you, everybody here.
What I said, did you come up with anything creative? Because they're
All
all
good.
new.
I got everything.
Peter, who?
Hey, guys.
That's
it. All right.
That's $3,000.
Did we buy it? Is it installed?
Are you getting a workers' comp form?
No.
Mike back hurts from this pot.
From what to that? Changing that?
You're heavy. Go, okay.
Well, move them without the dirt. How do you bring them over? Stop.
You go on
Stuck in
Waterworks and then brought them over with the loader and roll them out.
Thank you for that.
The ones if I Escondido are really too close, you guys.
Wait till the first car hits them. We'll be good.
Hey, we followed the list, pal.
That's right. Don't listen to him.
Listen to him.
First drunk guy that pulls in there and laps it.
Hey,
They're way
by
too
himself.
It's not your project,
It ain't
you
the
give it a
first
shot.
time. Okay,
I
used to
say
be
nothing.
ten.
I
How many
say
got left?
nothing.
Because tomorrow you're gonna be miserable.
How many got
I
left?
still have to work tonight. My
How
wife.
many got left?
Didn't we buy 10 of those?
We had a lot.
Oh, what am I doing wrong?
We had in the corner, we had by.
Davis bought the bigger ones, then we had the smaller
I
ones.
saw sleep on the motor shopping.
You wanna meet down there tomorrow?
What are you gonna knock down tomorrow?
I think Jimmy's meeting me, we're gonna discuss what game plan is.
Okay.
I mean, we'll have to figure out a cost, because I'm sure it's gonna be a problem.
Well, Trex is gonna be more than just.
Well, it's- yes, and then the screws, and then time, and you're talking weeks.
When did you get
That's
those?
your bridge.
Bridge?
It had to be after Sunday.
Yeah,
Did they get a hold of the company that built it?
Why?
Is this something that,
25 years, bro.
is this
It
going to
ain't
be?
25 years old.
Hell yeah, bro.
Well, if we do
No,
it
it isn't.
ourselves, no, we don't
We
have
put
to.
that,
We could put,
yeah, when do we put that in?
Everything with Kevin Clapton
we're
was
looking to
alive.
buy
He's in
When did Kevin
03.
die?
Well, that's what.
Kevin died in
Tracks.
06.
Yeah.
see if somebody wants to put a bid on it, but,
And I started
What,
in
the supplier, you mean?
yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't,
It's
you know.
not that old.
It was only 3-4 years.
Um,
Have you ever put up a bid on supplies?